Hello and welcome to The Slice is Right, where my friend Elon Thrust and I here go through the small sword manual. This is the sixth episode of us going through Domenico Angelo's School of Fencing, where we talk about how a layperson would interpret what we see in that manual and how it then looks in action. So there are three different parades that we're going to go through. We're going to continue going through the simple parades today. The first one is commonly known as the feather parade. That is against cart over the arm, and it's going to return with cart over the arm. You'll actually see with all three of the parades today that what your opponent is thrusting with is what you're going to eventually send back their way. A little Uno reverse on them. So the second one we're going to do is the you're going to be parrying in Seconde to a Seconde thrust, and then you are going to return in a Seconde thrust. The third is your half circle parry, and that is going to be returned against a low cart, and again, you're going to be returning in low cart. So a lot of gotchas going on today, so let's jump right in. Okay, for this first one, we're going to be doing what is commonly known as the feather parade against cart over the arm. As always, watch Joe if you want to learn what to do, and me if you want to learn how to do it whimsically, but wrong. So we're going to start off. We're both in cart. I see a great target, and that is Joe's juicy shoulder. So I'm going to try to do cart over the arm, just coming straight in. Right as I come straight in, what Joe's going to do is a beat to the outside with their fort or heel, and then they're going to answer back with that cart over the arm. Youch. So again, I'm coming in, cart over the arm. As I come in, Joe's going to do a quick beat, and we'll have a little insert about that here, I'm sure. So as I come in, Joe does a quick beat and then answers back with cart over the arm. That's the first way, by just moving your wrist out to the side. The second way that you can do this is if, let's say, Joe realizes too late what I'm doing because I've somehow done some trickery, or Joe realizes I have no clue what the hell I'm doing and doesn't know what's happening until it's almost too late. At that point, you are, instead of just moving the wrist, you're going to use your elbow. And that's going to look something like this. I come in for cart over the arm. Joe realizes too late. Elbow bends. You'll notice that Joe's tip goes a little more skyward, unlike the rest of small sword where your tip is threatening skyward, but it's not straight up and down. Because if it is straight up and down, what's going to happen is I can disengage and come in, right? But if Joe gives a quick beat and then comes back in, that's going to be so fast that I'm not going to be able to react to it, most likely. And those seem very static, but what you didn't, you could probably hear or not hear, you didn't hear Joe pressing into it, because if Joe presses into it, right, you're getting all of that ridiculous movie Zorro stuff that doesn't actually work. It's a quick beat out, and then it's a reaction. So a little bit faster, it's going to look like this. I come in, bang. All right. And that is the feather parade answered back against cart over the arm. Per usual, I've got something else to say. Who would have thunk it, right? So a question that gets brought up is, why would I want to do the feather parade versus just turning into tierce, right? Because if I'm doing a cart over the arm, that tierce parry is right there, and then you can come in. Reason being is sometimes it's just faster, right? Sometimes it's just faster for me to stay in cart, stay with my fingernails turned in cart, and return in cart over the arm. So we're going to do this. Joe's going to do the beat a little quick, and then riposte slower, and then we're going to do it a little faster, hopefully avoiding my eyes or other sensitive parts. But I come in for a cart, bang, right? And then Joe returns. And then, again, I'm going to come in a little deeper, so Joe's going to have to bend their arm, and then returns, right? You see how fast that can be? You're already right there in line. So I come in, already in line for it, and you don't have to aim. That is something that comes up a lot with small sword, is folks talk about, I can draw an elephant on the wall with chalk, and that's great. That's a lot of tip control that helps with sport fencing and Olympic fencing and some other styles. But what you're doing with Angelo's small sword is you are doing the mechanics correctly. The mechanics being done correctly, you don't have to aim. You don't have to worry as much. If I know that when I'm coming in for cart over the arm, I'm going straight in, and I'm dropping my point and lifting my hand, that card over the arm is going to hit somewhere between bicep, shoulder, or maybe top of the chest, right? That's no aim necessary for that. I'm poking them with a 3-foot needle. Totally going to work no matter what. So let's do that one last time and hope that Joe doesn't skewer me as I come in for a card over the arm. Bang. Perfecto. So the next one we're going to do, the next parade is, it's a defense against the outside thrust in Seconde. It's going to be parried with Seconde and actually return in Seconde as well. So there are 2 different ways to do this that we can go through. The first one I'm going to start in Carte, and the second one I'm going to start in Tierce. So I am in Carte, or actually Joe's in Carte. I'm going to be the one attacking here. Joe is in Carte. I am doing a thrust under the wrist in Seconde as I come in. Joe goes into Seconde to answer. Notice same thing. Beat. It knocks my line off. Joe returns in Seconde. Boom. So a little bit faster. So I think I'm going to trick Joe by going low. Bang. Right? Very simple response, but very effective, especially if someone is continuously trying to go low because they feel like, a lot of times what happens is folks feel like your sword is up here, I can't get past it. They think they have to go around the sword. That's not the case. So the next one is if Joe is in Tierce. I'd like to just point out, see the height of Joe's hand in Tierce, like chest height. What happens a lot, if you notice in the last couple of videos, when I do Tierce, I end up down low. Not categorically wrong, but not exactly right either, right? So the more parallel to the ground you can be with it, the better, as long as you aren't going so far out that you lock out your elbow and your hand and then you have no fluidity in your joints. So Joe is going to be in Tierce. I'm coming in with this thrust in Seconde. Same thing. Joe is just pivoting around my blade to smack it out of the way and then returning thrust in Seconde. One more time. There you go. And if you notice, the aim is somewhere between armpit and chest as on the return for that. Still part of the outside. And that is the parry in Seconde against the thrust in Seconde and the return in Seconde. I want ice cream. Okay, this third and final parade we're going to go through today is the half circle parry against the low cart to the inside. So once again, you're going to be watching Joe. With that half circle, and with Seconde as well, you're just using these the front fingers as your pivot for that. These back couple of fingers are just there to make sure it doesn't fall out of your hands, but you could literally take those out of the equation and still do both of those parries. So be mindful of that and don't death grip your sword as you're doing things. Having a little bit more of looseness in your wrist and elbow will help you a lot with small sword because it's so fast. If you're very rigid in what you're doing, you're probably going to get stabbed. So Joe is in Carte. I am in Carte, and I'm going to attempt low Carte because Joe has so much thigh meat. I just think that it needs a couple more holes in it. So I'm coming in for low Carte. As I come in for low Carte, Joe is going to circle to Joe's outside and then use the inside edge of their blade to beat my blade off and then return in low Carte. Notice one quick point. See how Joe noticed that my point was traveling a little too close to their midsection for comfort. So Joe presses it out of the way with their offhand. That's not a requirement, but if you feel like that's going to give you a little bit more security in what you're doing, go for it, because the last thing you want to do is step forward into someone's blade. So once again, we are in Carte. I'm going to go into low Carte. Joe beats out of the way. Ta-da. So just like how Seconde, you're circling to the inside, you're pivoting around the blade to beat it forward. If you're doing half circle, you're going to the outside. So with this half circle, just to see it a little bit better, I'm going to do a low Carte towards Joe, and Joe's going to do the actual technique. So if you notice, like I was saying, my thrust is going to the inside, but Joe's circle is going to the outside, right? And then Joe's return is to the inside because it's inside of where the chest line would be and shoulder. So let's do it again a little bit faster. I'm going to come in. And that is half circle parade against low cart. I forgot everything that we just said. Magic.